So the N is...
The N is Nanette. It's white.
They'll swap it for it. Hey, thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. That dear crowd, thank you. Someone said, well, I like abstract art. Well, that's great, but you just hang that up. It's color. It's whatever. Yeah, that's something. Maybe get a little message out of that. But you know, that'd be like hearing jazz music. You can get a little bit out of it, but then every now and then, when you listen to a ballad and someone's singing their heart out, and you're listening to that and it touches your heart, you have a whole other element, which is narrative, story. The whole relationship of the words, the images that are being formed through that painting. That's why I'm an advocate of paintings. Now, there's an interesting book that was recently written called The Art Instinct. And I encourage you to read that. It's a bestseller right now. The author, without mentioning me by name, wrote, in essence, a complete academic, philosophical statement of our business plan. And in this book, he talks about how the human species, cross-culturally, has a fundamental need to be reaffirmed about places that are safe and comfortable, what he called images of longing, the landscape of longing. He specifically talked about a survey that was done of cultures. That includes Kenya, Eastern Europe, South America, China, the Far East, the Middle East, America, North America, Canada. All these cultures universally longed for landscapes that brought them into a place of comfort and peace where there was water in the foreground. Look at my paintings. Do you see the water in the foreground? He said, where there is bushy leafing trees providing shade, you see the shade. Where there is mountains in a far aspect, so you can look off into the distance and hope and dream. In my paintings, I have mountains, distances that open up. He said, there are trails in small spaces that lead the eye. In my paintings, you often see trails and spaces that lead the eye. He said, there is refuge, as represented by structures, places that you can go and hide away and feel comfortable and at peace, a sanctuary. In my paintings, there are sanctuaries. Now, I didn't know who this man was or why he was writing this book. He's from New Zealand, and he's a great academic thinker. He's a man by the name of Dennis Dutton. He writes beautiful academic treatments about culture, and he said there is something in the human species. We long for these landscapes, these places where we can feel comfortable and at peace, and we aspire to long for that, and we have to have that imagery surrounding us. He called it the art instinct. He said it is wired in us since the Pleistocene, the era of humankind when we rambled the plains looking for those oases where we could be at peace and find a little spring with water and overshading trees and comfortable places. He said that's wired into us. That's why calendar publishers, book publishers, people who use art in commercial context always want landscapes of those, what he calls the places of peace. Interesting. It's like a business plan for Thomas Kinkade. We didn't plan it. It's just those are the kind of places I long for too. That's why I paint them. Someone said, Tom, your paintings are so realistic. Well, they're not realistic at all. They're complete fantasies. That's why they're paintings. You know, if I wanted to paint what was exactly there, I would have been a photographer. I like to paint daydreams of places that you could only imagine in those deepest places of our heart. And there is a longing, I think we all share, for those kind of places. The other thing about painting is that it becomes a connection with real people. I say to anyone in the audience who might be an artist, take that into account as you create, because I have had so many occasions to meet with artist groups, and I will often hear this comment from artists, well, my art is all about me. It doesn't matter if someone likes what I do. It doesn't matter if they enjoy it. It doesn't matter if they even understand what I'm creating. It's all about me. I'm the artist. Now, I defy you to have that attitude in any other field. It would be viewed as an attitude problem in pretty much any field. You have that wonderful doctor who comes up to you and says, look, before I treat you, I want to let you know, this practice is all about me. You know, my medicine, it's about me. I don't care if you understand what I do. I don't care if you like what I do. This medicine is about me. I studied for this. It's my practice. You'd be finding another doctor real quick. Or a politician who said, look, this office is all about me. Someone said, well, we've had a few of those. Well, we might have, but the fact is it shouldn't be that way. You heard the word public service? I coined the phrase social conscious art. You know, don't we want to create something to better the fellow man, or is it just about us? Okay, if it's all about you, go do what you want, man. Get your squirt gun, spray that canvas down, have a good old hallelujah good time. I'll guarantee you there won't be a lot of people hanging it in their wall. Because when you create chaos, people don't want chaos. There's enough chaos in the world. I had a friend who grew up in a home, they had Pablo Picasso paintings all over the wall, little prints of Pablo Picasso. He said something very interesting to me. He said, Thom, I grew up with that art on the wall. And he said, as a child, I remember thinking, the world of adults is confusing and scary. I don't understand that world, because that world is represented by the art and the images that have been framed and put on my wall. I don't understand that world. I'm frightened by it. It is just colors and its ugliness and its chaos. I don't understand that world. I don't feel comfortable looking at that. And he says, as a little boy, I always wondered what that meant, and I felt confused. Now, in my case, I grew up in a home. My mother had a simple taste in art. She just liked images that kind of meant something to her. She hung a painting by Rembrandt, a cheap dime store print. It was a painting called The Man with the Golden Helmet, and it's a portrait of an old soldier, and he's looking out. And you saw pride in his eyes. You saw the hero's heart in his face. You had a sense that he was looking off at far horizons and going to escape his small life of limited circumstances and challenges, and he was looking out at the greater victory that lay ahead. Something about that painting burned itself into my mind. I still see it when I go visit Mom. She lives next door to my studio, 86 years old. She's still got the painting up. Hasn't been dusted in 40 years either, I'll tell you. It's still up there, you know. And Mom has that painting as a beacon of hope in her heart. You know, I get letters now from people with that same testimony. My kids are growing up with those paintings in the home. They look up and they understand it. I love it when I see those 20-year-old, 20-somethings are starting their home and they're getting their Thomas Kinkade painting for the first time. It's kind of cool because I feel like we've connected the dots. We've tied a thread of peace and comfort with people. Give them a new generation of inspiration.